Okay, welcome everybody. So just now, a few minutes ago, first we had news reports saying that Milan Kovac, the vice president of engineering in charge of the Optimus bot program for Tesla, he's leaving the company. And just a few minutes ago, he himself actually posted confirming that this is the case. The news was first dropped by Bloomberg, Ed Ludlow, saying Tesla's head of Optimus humanoid robot program exit the company. Milan Kovac apparently told staff today that he's sad that he has to leave. He did not say why, but Ashok Swami, who's in charge, the VP in charge of Autopilot, he's now going to be in charge of both Autopilot and Optimus. This is the only photo I have of Milan Kovac. We'll also take a look at what he said and also what Elon said just 4 days ago about Milan. We've got Scott Walter here. He's a two-time robotics company founder. What do you think about this, Scott?
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock. It's not something that I was expecting to happen. Milan is well liked within the community. He's obviously done an incredible job putting that team together and keeping it going. The one thing I guess I will say is he's done probably such a good job of putting together such a top team. It will probably be able to actually move on without him. So, I mean, that will be his real legacy, is the kind of team that he's able to put together. Because you can remember, one person isn't what makes everything work. It's the whole team and getting them together. So he had been there for 10 years. Obviously, started out in the Autopilot group, learned quite a bit, was tapped very early for the Tesla bot program, and was pretty much the face of the program that we saw on that AI Day 2 when they came out announcing the new Tesla bot. And yeah, I mean, he's going to be missed because he's done a remarkable job over the past several years getting that together.
Let's take a look at what he actually did say now. He posted this on X just a few minutes ago. He said, over the past 9 years, I've had the immense privilege to work with some of the most brilliant minds in AI and engineering. I've built friendships that will last a lifetime. This week, I've had to make the most difficult decision of my life. So he's saying he made this decision and will be moving out of my position. I've been far away from home for too long, and will need to spend more time with family abroad. I want to make it clear that this is the only reason, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything else. My support for Elon and the team is ironclad. Tesla team forever. Joining Tesla in 2016 as an engineer in the core Autopilot team and then leading a part of it over the years under Elon was already more than I could have hoped for. I'll never forget the countless hardcore debugging sessions deep into the night with my awesome colleagues. Successor generations of Autopilot computers, related software stacks, which we ship to so many people around the world. This product has become so much more since then. I honestly can't drive much without it anymore. It will soon catch the world off guard and will change the way people commute at scale. Okay, so this transition to build and lead the Optimus group early 2022, when we had nothing but a couple of KUKA arms arranged upside down, was of another level for me. We had to build entire platform, hardware, software, all at once. Amazing team did it. They did it. I didn't. Humbling to work with the colleagues. I want to thank colleagues Ashok, Srihari. We've been a tremendous amount. Okay. And then most importantly, I want to thank Elon from the bottom of my heart for his trust and teachings over the decades we've worked together. Elon, you taught me to discern signal from noise, hardcore resilience, and many fundamental principles of engineering. Forever grateful. Tesla will win. I'll guarantee you that. And he posted photos of them. So given what you just saw there, Scott, and also, and I wanted to show this, which is, where are we now? Nope, I got to take that one out. This post by Elon just 4 days ago. So he posted this 4 days ago. He said this tweet 9 years ago was how I started the Autopilot Now AI team at Tesla. This is the tweet he's referring to. 9 years ago, November 15th, he said, ramping up the Autopilot software team at Tesla to achieve generalized full autonomy. If interested, contact us. And then he goes, this tweet 9 years ago was how I started the Autopilot team. Ashok, who now leads the team, was the first person I interviewed. Then he said this, Milan, who leads Optimus, also joined very early. So based on these 2 points together, Scott, it sounds like Elon 4 days ago said, hey, Milan's part of the team. Very proud of them, reminiscing. Yeah. And then now, Milan's posted this saying, hey, I had to make this decision my decision. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it was a gut-wrenching decision. I'm not sure if Elon was sort of aware that he was thinking about it, but yeah, he's from Belgium. He's been here 10 years, and maybe he really felt like there was a need to kind of go back and take care of family matters there, because it can be very difficult being 9 time zones away. But at the same time, it's got to be really tough because you built a team. Now, there's one thing that he said in there that I want to underline, that in one of his paragraphs, he ended it, they did it, I didn't. Okay. That's a sign of a true leader. Okay. Yeah. And that's why he has the respect of his colleagues and everyone else. So he was able to build a team. And what that means is there's probably a lot of really trusted lieutenants, because this is not the first time a shock has suddenly been given a bit more on his plate, because he took over for Andrej Karpathy when Andrej left. So Ashok is used to this, but at the same time, he probably knows who are the other people that will be able to fill that void. So a lot of times, many of them will step up, because it is a team effort to do everything else there. It's definitely a surprise to everyone that this is going to happen. Like when you're just on the cusp of probably releasing what was going to be one of the most influential products of all time. But the thing is, he will always be part of that story, without a doubt. And, in the end, your family is always more important. It's like that's the reason you go to work every day.
But I have several questions for you, Scott. So first of all, Ashok Laswamy is going to take over. Perfect choice, of course. He's running the FSD autopilot team for the cars. You could say that it's hit all its key milestones. It's basically in the end game now. So moving him to Optimus makes sense. Do you think that he's the right guy to lead the Optimus bot? And to what extent do you think that FSD videos and his knowledge about autopilot transfers? I mean, they are one team, aren't they? They're AI team.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they've always had a lot of crossover going on between the two. So no one knew who Ashok was when Andrej left. And he was able to prove that, yeah, he could fill the shoes quite well, quite competently. FSD, progressed quite a lot since then. So I'm pretty sure that he's got the technical chops to be able to do it. But it is going to be a bit of a distraction. Remember, it seems like we're close to the robotaxi rollout, but we're not there yet. And there's still going to be a lot of bumps in the road trying to get that out. So maybe it's a little bit of a distraction that he wasn't quite hoping to have right now. But I'm assuming he's been integrated in enough. And again, there are enough other people doing it. That's the thing. Milan said, they did it, I didn't. And so you just got to kind of remember that it is tough. I think a lot of us have been in kind of these situations sometimes where you have to make a decision, which is extremely difficult. And sometimes, maybe it's in black and white. It's there. Maybe there's some other things that are going on. I don't know. But, and we don't have any other information that we'd be able to tell us that there's more going on behind the scenes except what we've seen publicly. I think the biggest surprise to me is how much we learned in the past month. To me, sounded like they were like building up a head of steam. They were getting a lot of momentum. And if that's the case, then maybe that is almost like the best time to kind of be able to make this move, especially if it's something you've been considering for a while, because you feel like, things are going, I feel a lot better about, stepping aside at this point, as opposed to when things aren't moving. So let's just kind of dial everything back a little bit as we go back to the We Robot 1010 event, when we saw the 23 DOF hand for the first, or 22 DOF hand for the very first time. And that certainly was like, one of the highlights of Optimus last year, and the expectations of what would be coming. And we got a couple of updates, including seeing the 22 DOF hand mounted on the Gen 2 bot, catching a tennis ball twice in a row successfully. Okay. So, kind of wasn't a fluke, and kind of showed us that, okay, the hand must have been progressing along pretty well. But then there was like a lot of silence. We didn't really hear anything after that. We knew they were starting to also change the way they're going to be doing the walking. We were assuming they were doing something with reinforcement learning, but it may have been like still early days on that. And then really 4 months without an update. And then suddenly in April, we get the update, and then more updates. And then, just a few weeks ago, we see the Tesla bot being able to do this, full body control, excellent balance, everything else. But the one thing that kind of concerned me is that as nice as these dancing bots are, and seeing that, and that, now I wasn't concerned with its potential walking speed and being able to actually move around pretty quickly. We had not actually seen it do any manipulation. Still the old hands.
Even these tasks here, grabbing that title,
and it's with the old hand. It's all with the old hand.
Gotcha.
And we saw a picture of the new Optimus production line, but we haven't actually seen that version of the bot moving around. So everything, all the updates, everything we've been seeing is with the Gen 2 bot, not the Gen 2 refresh, not the the Gen 3 or Gen 2.5 with the hand, whatever you want to consider that. We had not seen it. And then there were a couple other posts that came out from the team that sort of indicated it's like, whew, now that we've got this walking thing figured out, we're going to start working on the hand. It's like they get the reinforcement learning framework, and it was like they were planning in the coming months to start doing everything to get a fully dexterous hand. So it means they didn't have anything to show. And so it may be that up to this point here, I was a bit concerned that if they're not showing any progress with that, does that mean there's going to be delays? And the indication from the team is we're probably not going to see a good manipulation demo until midsummer. I mean, if you start talking about a couple of months away. So I was a little bit concerned that that could be the potential. Now, we've been getting lots of updates from many different bot companies, and they've been impressing us with their dancing skills and their walking skills and their running skills. But no one's been impressing anyone with their actual manipulation, with their proof of doing useful work. And that has been, let's say, the concern. So I'm just laying out the historical timeline there, kind of what we've seen, doing a little bit of reading the tea leaves there. I don't know what you can imply from that. I mean, that will be up to everyone else to see whether that had anything to do with it or whether that's just a side issue. Because again, it looked like the momentum was building, that they finally got a foundation model that seems to be really good at teaching a lot of these other full body control tasks with the expectation that you can now move it onto the hands. The hardest thing with the hands is going to be getting that data, is the training data, because everything's about the data. So it may be that, okay, we've got that, but now we have to figure out how to train it, and it may take a lot longer to be able to do that. So that's that. I don't know. I'll leave it to sort of the experts out there. They're working on it, but that 22 DOF hand is a huge challenge, and was a big step from where they were. And I was really surprised that, to me, it's like, well, make that your Gen 3 or Gen 4 hand. It's like, maybe the next generation hand, just add a few more IP joints, a little bit more, and some other things. But they decided, no, we're going to really jump to the end game. So that could be a lot. And that's my concern, because we have not seen that doing anything at all. We have not seen any manipulation with it. We have seen in the background, in those videos, we saw some Gen 2 bots that actually had those forearms on there. We could see there was a left hand and a right hand, but we haven't actually seen them doing anything. What does that mean? It could mean that they're saving the good stuff. They don't want anyone to see what's going on, which is why they're not moving. And then we're going to be, surprised next week. You see, okay, this had absolutely nothing to do with Milan's departure. But if we don't see something for a while, then that to me is a little bit of a concerning flag.
Okay. Do you think, Scott, are you concerned that you think that this program is now delayed because you have the head of the Optimus program leaving? Is it going to be delayed or not really?
I mean, there's always concerns like that. Tesla has had a lot of high profile departures over the years, and it doesn't seem like it necessarily caused anything to slow down or to stop. It was unfortunate to see some of these people leave, but it seems like it's a blip in the road at this point. A shock is certainly he's used to being able to do something like this. And again, remember, it's a pretty large team there, and I don't think they have a hard time recruiting if they need to get talent. I mean, to come in.
If we're like guessing of what could happen, could Ashok say, "Hey, I want to be in charge of the humanoid robot program, Milan be below me," and then Milan goes, "Nah, I'm out of here.
That's possible. Now, remember that they both got promoted to VP at the same time,
Right.
I think back in November,
That's
December. So again,
Yeah.
it's kind of a surprise that that's like, wow, it's like you make it up to a VP
Yeah.
decision level. And so it is probably a very tough decision to make a move like that. I don't know. It's I don't, Shock doesn't seem like that kind of person to me.
No, he doesn't.
He seems like such a team player. I don't think he's Machiavellian. I don't think he would say, I want to have this. No way. No way. And now what could end up happening is as he has a closer look, maybe he just says, I'm kind of bored with this FSD stuff right now. You find someone else to take over. Well, I want to move over there. That's always a possibility.
The other one was this, where it's just some people this guy said this. Now that Optimus can learn from video, which is something that they were all said was a major breakthrough, right? The word breakthrough showed up in, 3-4 of the team members' posts about it. That now that Optimus can learn from video, the training may be equivalent to that of FSD. It makes sense that Ashok, the FSD chief, would head both efforts.
Could be, yeah, and maybe that helped make the decision a little bit easier. That they may have sort of, discussed what it's going to be like moving ahead, and then at Milan probably felt, this is going to be in good hands because it really does become like FSD. We're just going to have the training video, so it's always possible you have that big breakthrough, and that could be the thing that is holding up the hand. That's what's holding up a lot of things, is that everyone knows how to get the full body capture pretty easily with everything else. But then getting the data that you need for the hand has been a lot harder for everyone. It takes a lot more, and it's really hard to instrument your hands to kind of know what's going on because you don't get that haptic feedback when you're grabbing something. It's a very difficult problem. So if they've been able to figure out how to do it through other means, especially with video, that really would change things significantly. Since you could just suit up all sorts of people. You just say, wear a camera on your head and just go around the house and just do all kinds of chores and just do these things and just feed them in there. And then it just kind of goes through and begins to understand from that point of view, what's going on with the hand. And then eventually it could go the other way when they make the transformation. Now it seems like a straightforward transformation, but it's actually a bit more complicated than that third person view versus a first person view. So that eventually the bot would learn from observing what someone else is doing from the bot's point of view, not the person themselves. And it's this theory of mind kind of thing. And mathematically seems a straightforward transformation, but it turns out to actually implement it is a lot harder than everyone thinks. So conceptually it's like, it's an easy problem, but it's like, it's not quite that easy.
Yeah, the bots might become self-aware once they go, okay, I'm supposed to be that person there, and I'm going to put myself in that shoe. Okay, so the last time we heard about Tesla's goals, Elon said that we're planning to build 1,000 bots, right? Then he clarified and he said, no, actually, the production line, we want it to be 1,000 bots per month. Production line. We're still building that. It could still be quite a long ways before we get there. He's hoping that by the end of this year, we get to the 10,000, like the second production line, 10,000 bots per month. But right now, they're still working on 1,000 bots.
Or was it 10,000 a month or 10,000 a year? I think from my understanding is that the stretch goal for this year was to try to get 1,000 or 10,000 for rate by the end of the year, or maybe possibly that many, but it was like an internal stretch goal. And that it most likely would be a smaller number, something like 5,000 more realistically.
Right.
But they're not there yet. And that they're building out the line that they hope would be able to do 1,000 a month. So if you're able to get that line up and running before the end of the summer, then you've got enough months left over that potentially you can produce 4,000 to 5,000 if it's able to do that. Right.
And
then at that point, you've got a rate which is getting you to 12,000 a year.
Yeah. My question, do you think that this event that happened now, Milan Kovac leaving the company, is that going to slow that down? Or Milan in charge of the program, but is he, are we already well on its way? Like we have Gen 2 bot, they've designed Gen 3, they're already working on the production line now. It doesn't matter so much now, or could it still very much impact it?
I think the only thing that impacts it is that you're trying to finalize your design and set up your production line at the same time, knowing that there might have to be a couple of tweaks down the road. I would assume at this point they've figured out most of the things they need to do mechanically. So there's not going to be a change to that part of it. It's just the software component, because in the end, it's going to be the software you load on that. So assuming that they don't have to do any radical changes to it, they could start producing these things. And maybe when they come off their line, they're not very capable yet, because they, just like when we first had FSD, we had the chip, we had the cameras, we had everything, but it wasn't very good. Okay. Then we get an update and, hey, it's a little bit better. And then a little bit better. And there was never a hardware change. So, and then eventually it was like, there was a hardware change, because now we've exceeded the possibilities of what the chip can do. But remember, all that really meant in most cases just swapping out a board and putting something else in. So my expectation is that unless there was some major fundamental flaw in the hardware design, you wouldn't see anything. And if there is, it's going to be in a small area. So like 95% of the stuff is not going to change, and they could probably get that ramping up. And I'm not sure, I'm sure Milan was like overseeing what was going on there, but you have a bunch of these other people that are the experts at being able to do manufacturing and setting this up.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that Milan's not the guy that's in charge of production. His background, and I've got the background list here. Just go through his list background here quickly. Right. So he joined Tesla in April 2016 as a software engineer for the Autopilot team. He was an engineering manager. He became the director of Autopilot software engineering. He became the director of Optimus and Autopilot engineering. And then he was promoted to vice president of Optimus. So his real work was more on the software side, nearly 10 years. Yes. And so he's not the guy that's going to be in the factory creating the production, not even maybe, the intelligence part. But
he's going to be aware of what's going on, but he's going to have a lot of lieutenants that report to him that are explaining what's going on, what they plan on doing, making sure they stay on schedule, finding out and like, hey, what's the hang up? What resources do you need? What do we need to do to change this? So certainly he was involved there, but that was really not his main responsibility. His main responsibility is to create a product worth producing. We'll figure out how to produce it. Okay. Just give us something that is going to be a product that people are going to want to have and is going to be functioning. So that really was his main task.
Okay. I want to ask you about timing. So 4 days ago, I mentioned this at the beginning, Elon posted this tweet, and he was reminiscing, saying he posted another tweet 9 years ago. That's when he started the Autopilot team. And he said, Ashok, who now leads the team, was the first person I interviewed. Milan, who leads the Optimus team, also joined very early. So he's reflecting back on 9 years ago when he created the Autopilot for the first time. He posted that 4 days ago. So I was thinking, well, he's being reminiscing, and he must have it felt like we hit a milestone. And it's kind of the right timing, right? We're about to launch Robotaxi, and this is the milestone. He's feeling very comfortable. He says, wow, remember 9 years ago when I launched this? And these are the two people that I hired. And many of the key people in Tesla AI have been there from the beginning. So I think it feels like he, 4 days ago, felt like a milestone, reminiscing, but then this happens. So I don't think he knew that Milan was going to leave today, or do you think he did?
Yeah, I mean, we'll never know. Usually, you would think when someone is thinking about that they will, if it's possible, they would speak to their chain of command to tell them what they're considering, to make sure there's sort of a graceful departure. So obviously he knew, the team found out today, but I'm sure he's known for maybe a couple of days. Yeah. And I think the other is that there's no good time for people to leave. There's no perfect time. It's like whenever someone leaves, it just seems like, the timing is awful. So when is a good time for someone to leave?
So next question, is that what pissed off Elon yesterday? I mean, he was pretty emotional yesterday. Could it go other way around? Could Milan have left today because he thought, I didn't like what happened yesterday? Unlikely, but I just have to ask the question. Timing wise,
I think it's unlikely. I think I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is something that had been under consideration for a while, and the proper way to do it. The timing is probably a little bit unfortunate. Like I say, there's never a good time. If you'd left, 2 months ago. If he leaves 2 months from now, it's like everyone's going to say, "Oh, it's awful timing." So you never quite know what to read into these things. The main thing is whether there's a team underneath him, and there's all these people. We don't know who they are, but we're going to find out pretty soon, I'm sure. And we kind of know because we've seen occasionally posts from the team when they hit some big milestone. So there were quite a few who posted back in May when we were seeing the dancing bot and exactly what was going on there with the reinforcement learning and how excited they were. So I imagine they may be the voices we're going to start hearing a little bit more from. That's a
good reminder. When last time that Tesla launched these videos, it wasn't just Milan, it wasn't just Ashok. Every team member of AI went in and made a comment. I collected at least 8 to 10. I don't remember exact numbers, but there was a lot of comments from every single team member. They're very proud of it. That shows you that they're a big team and it's not just one person. So at this point, you're not terribly concerned. Nothing's delayed per se.
I don't think so. I mean, it's like you have to consider that, maybe not all things are going perfect, but it's a bit of a shock. But I would think that you've got enough of a team there. And again, I just remember what Milan said. They did it. I didn't. And that again, that means there's a team behind him that's been working on it. And one of them is probably ready to move into a leadership role, maybe a little bit sooner than they expected. But I'm sure he's been able to lead enough by example that they would know how to follow in his footsteps.
Another question people seem to be asking is, Milan's going to be hired by the other robot companies. Chances of that, I think, is very low. These are top level executives. They would be locked down by legal incentives too, right? Stocks, all that. It just seems a very low chance that would happen. Yeah,
I think so. And then if it was a competition, I don't think it would be in the Bay Area because it sounds like, there's a little bit of homesickness, and that's on the other side of the pond. So it would, if it was, it would be a company over there. But again, I don't think there's any movement. But it could be interesting. And in the old days, there was a non-compete clause. Many people, and I'm not sure how much that sort of changes when you get to a high level, but for a lot of employees, sometimes they were locked down with a non-compete clause, which meant you had to wait 2 years or something like that before you could either go back into the industry or work for a competitor or something like that. California found that to be unenforceable. So you can put it in there. Now, NDAs are something else. You can't take information, from one or learn something about it and bring it over to another. That's another thing that's very, very, very enforceable. So you can't say he couldn't do it for that reason unless there was some other specifics in a contract that would be considered enforceable, that as a result of you're in a high management position. If you accept this thing, you have to accept that. But usually for people coming in, employees, you can put that on there and it gets thrown out right away. And usually, I think the argument has always been, and I remember first seeing this argument maybe over 30 years ago, that guys got to make a living. You cannot deny the person the living. So he's a salesperson that works for one company and leaves for a reason. And you say you can't work for the competitor. Say, I got to put food on the table. And the courts accepted that right there. Say, sorry, you can't prevent a person from being able to pursue their career.
So a reminder that Milan Kovac, so the news is that he's the VP of Optimus Humanoid Robot Program. He's exited Tesla. He confirmed it himself after the reports. He left today. He had a team meeting, and he posted on X saying that, thankful. He's been there for 10 years. So again, just a reminder that the average tenure of executives at Tesla is 9 years. That is much higher than any other company out there, mostly around 5 years. So, to expect somebody to spend their entire life there is low. But having said that, you're in charge of the humanoid robot program and you're leaving now. I'm still a little bit, got to think a little bit why this has happened. I don't think it looks like he decided to leave on his own. It wasn't like an Elon fire or anything like that. So, but I think you and I agree that it's not going to, we don't expect it to impact Tesla's progress significantly.
Correct.
So, Okay. Thank you again, Scott. Check out Scott Walter. Follow him on X at Going Ballistic 5. He is the expert in humanoid robots, and he's constantly consulting with multiple humanoid robot companies out there. His knowledge is just unique. Follow him there. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.